I should do like some animated intro. So when I go, hello everybody, welcome
Yeah,
to
totally.
the Brad and Dad podcast. No, I'm starting. This is the start. Welcome everybody to the Brad and Dad podcast. My name is not Brad, and this is Dad. Father and son duo. We're going to talk about nerd stuff.
Yes.
TV show recaps, tabletop gaming, other things within the kind of video board general game sphere, movies, TV shows,
Basically
kind of the whole gamut.
anything, that we would sit around jaw jacking about on a Sunday afternoon, the latest in all these fun things, comics and games, and role play and all that stuff. So
I obviously was brought up in it by this man. It's a lot of 3.5 D&D books laying around that I never played. That's the funniest thing, is that you had the monster manual and I knew what a displacer beast was, but I had never once fought one.
We didn't play a ton at all. Like it was just
never, right?
You guys
remember ever playing.
You guys watched us play some.
Did you guys play in person? Because I remember you playing a lot of like Neverwinter Nights, like the games and stuff, but not.
Yeah, we did some of the games, but no, we had friends over once in a while. Yeah. Played a little bit of Mordheim. Do you remember that?
Mordheim was buildings. Was that okay? Is that Warhammer or is that
it's a Warhammer deal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the Ravenloft book I've been digging through, there's a guy called Mordenheim, Victor Mordenheim, and I was like, is it? Yeah, no, I don't think it is, because I remember it being. Yeah. Anyway, that's not what we're here for yet. That we have a bit later on, but the way we're going to be doing this, we're going to have short and sweet podcasts. We're going to try to keep it to about your 45-minute commute, whatever, things like that. For the moment, you're listening to this on YouTube. Hopefully, we'll have them available other places down the line.
Yeah, we're gonna put it all over the place.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber of Google Podcasts, so we'll see if we can get a second user on there, because there's me and then I don't know. But if you're listening, thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to start off with a controversial segment because it's spoilers.
Did we talk about this?
Big controversy. Big controversy.
Oh, the spoiler controversy.
Because then
we got to lead off.
Because I just realized it's like, oh yeah, here's our general podcast. Pop this in for your. But then immediately, if you haven't watched the latest episode of Falcon,
that's right,
Winter Soldier.
So hang on. Listen, okay. Insert spoiler warning here.
There's going to be a spoiler warning blinking. Although that the new editing program I'm using is not good for that. So maybe it'll just be on the screen the whole time. But we'll give you, this is enough time hopefully to have had your car that you're listening to it on your commute, to coast to a stop along the side so you can pause and
scrub ahead about 15 minutes.
Maybe exactly. So we're going to be talking about Falcon the Winter Soldier, kind of our first segment of the show. We are hoping to do kind of a recap each week, pretty much it looks like for the foreseeable future from now till the end of time.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's going to be so many Marvel, Star Wars, whatever TV shows going on that likely will have something for this segment every week.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to that. We have some news and other kind of fun bits from the pop culture sphere that we've collected.
We're going to give some stuff away.
We'll give some stuff away, which might look forward to that.
Not yet. We're going to.
Yeah, in a bit,
We'll tell you what it is.
We'll string them along. We have some thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League, ladies and gentlemen. The auteur has delivered his full creative vision. Yeah, and the reactions are varied. So that one will be fun to talk about. And then we have some tabletop gaming stuff. We're going to talk about our least and most favorite Dungeons and Dragons classes from the various
second edition.
I was going to say from the various editions, because I couldn't tell you. Do priests? I don't know. Yeah, which classes?
That'll be fun.
Second. Yeah. So this has been your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the first episode, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you were warned. Please go and watch for yourself. It's quite good.
Why don't you give us like a 3-minute recap of the episode?
3-minute recap. Timer has started. So
basically, set a timer for 3 minutes.
Mine's already at plus 5 seconds. So essentially what we had was after the events of Avengers Endgame, both Bucky and Sam have been returned to life. and they're, I think it's 6 months on from the end of Avengers Endgame and the disappearance of Steve Rogers. The world seems to think that he's kind of dead or gone in some capacity. Of course, we know that he's just old. We don't know his exact whereabouts, but basically, we start the episode, and Falcon, who's given the shield, the Cap shield, at the end of Endgame, has decided to give it up and put it in the museum where Indiana Jones would want it. He goes back with his family. He goes to Louisiana, right? Yeah.
Louisiana.
And his family owns a boat. Their parents owned a boat, and he's talking with, I think it's his sister, right?
Shrimp boat.
Yeah, his sister and his her kids,
popcorn,
and
shrimp, buttered
basically
shrimp.
tries to help them come up with enough capital. Tries to go to the bank and get a loan so they can keep this boat that their parents had as kind of a family legacy. They're turned down at the bank. There's a whole economic crisis and kind of a racial undercurrent to it that makes it very tense and difficult for the family. Then they end with a shocking revelation over the television. Bucky, for his part, they are separate for this entire episode. He is going to therapy. He is trying to work through kind of his guilt from the things he did when he was a Winter Soldier. He seems to have gotten a pardon deal from the government. He's trying to make amends with people. One of the people he's making amends with is an older man who he killed the son of some time ago when he was a Winter Soldier. Tries to go on a date, kind of fails miserably, and he seems to be pretty unhappy. Doesn't have many friends. We're at 2 minutes. The
great,
crux
man.
of the episode, what we got at the end was that the U.S. government, instead of keeping the shield in a museum, pulls it out of retirement and gives it to a new Captain America. It's just a new guy. It's a discount dollar store, winks at the camera and salutes. And it seems to be in response to a huge wave of terrorism and kind of extremism that's come up around the world since the snap. There's the super powered faction called the Flag Smashers that are they're robbing banks and kicking people around, and they're trying to unite everyone under one world government. And this new Cap seems to be the response. A response which Sam was not very pleased with. That brings us to 2 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm pretty happy with that. Time. Speed run.
Very nice.
What did you think of this episode?
Okay, well, a couple things.
Yeah.
As you were describing the drama with Sam and his family, sister, lose the boat business, all that kind of, it kind of highlights the feeling in this episode that this was a bit of a slow start.
Oh yeah.
Like there was the first 10 minutes, right? With the jet dogfight, the chase. I am a UFC, like I love it. UFC fan. Like not just fan, not casual fan, like I'm in. Like crotch deep, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's a term.
Right?
It's a term you can use.
I did use it.
Okay.
And so I knew this was coming, which you know what was really funny.
I didn't.
You did not know this was coming.
I had no idea.
Georges St-Pierre, former Canadian UFC welterweight champ, middleweight champ, and had played Batroc, Le Leaper in Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And he come back and reprised his role as Batroc and seems to he may be coming back. It sounds like he's not done yet. So
he's got I don't know what role he's gonna play,
but we saw some good karate from him, a little bit of MMA stuff. And just generally, it was just fun to see GSP on the big screen. That was super cool.
He's got a thing. He's got a thing for hijacking large military-owned vehicles.
Yes, it was a
first
boat,
then the
Captain America, and it was a big cargo jet in this one.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But aside from those first 10 minutes, it was developing, like catching up from the last 5-6 months since the snap. And it was a little bit of character backstory between both Bucky and Sam. And Sam's piece, like honestly, as you described it, it could have just been pulled out of a drama, like a evening drama, like This Is Us style.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and it had actually kind of some of those vibes as they went to the bank and dealing with real life, like superhero real life.
Yeah, I do like that they posed the question of how do I think the bird flew off to another room and Katiri's. You can hear a woman's voice coaxing a bird. I think maybe he's in the rafters or something, but I think he'll come back. He's in the bathroom. Okay, well maybe
this is the unseen third guest on our third host.
So segueing cleanly into we're talking about Falcons. Talking about Falcons, I am about to bring a raptor into the frame. Our guest star,
Green Conyer and the Winter Soldier. So yeah, there was a question that came up, like Sam's going to the bank for a loan with his sister, and it's like, well, wait a second, like doesn't Falcon and all the rest of the Avengers, like, wouldn't they be pretty well taken care of?
The star of the show.
So
this is Skittle.
So I was holding it together here while you were gone.
Yes. What did I miss?
And I think you were going here, but let me raise the question, because this came up in my mind actually many times over the years. Sure. It's like, who pays superheroes? Like, are these guys not well set up? Are these guys, like, could you not figure out a way? Like, would they have like a fan club that would be? Aren't they getting clicks on their video? Like, how are they making money? Like,
yeah. Well, I think go for it.
Well, it was just a funny thing because there was I can't remember even which movie it was in, but Tony Stark says to Cap, it's like, well, no, actually, he's the boss. Yeah, I just pay for everything, and I make design everything, and I make everybody look cooler.
I think that's Age of Ultron. I think that's the second Avengers.
And if Tony Stark is actually the billionaire, like a lot of dollars, and he could easily pay all the teammates.
Yeah. And so he definitely paid for everything, funded everything. But I wonder, so, I mean, they all had, there was the Avengers compound. They all had a place to stay there. Presumably, you know, it's stocked with food and whatever. And part of me wonders if it was kind of, like they don't have expenses so much. So like, I wonder if it was more so that like Tony just kind of bankrolled everything. And I don't know, it was like a nonprofit kind of, I don't know, and I don't know how.
I don't know. I'll get an allowance, like what?
But something. I mean, if you haven't seen WandaVision, I don't want to spoil that as well. But there are similar questions about how Vision could afford some of the things he purchased in that as well.
Right.
But something that I saw pointed out that made a lot of difference is, regardless of how they were compensated when they were in the Avengers, Sam, even before having a 5-year gap of no income because he was non-existent, he was on the run for another 2 or 3 years prior to that because he went rogue with Cap. So not only did he not have an income for that 5 years, he also didn't have an income for, like, you know, however many years between Infinity War and Civil War there were.
Now, how long was he a soldier before he actually like met Cap? Because he was in the U.S. Army.
He was. I think he was retired by the time Winter Soldier happened because he was doing like veterans counseling.
Right. So he would have a military pension if nothing else. That's gonna be like.
But the thing is, and I think it's interesting, I do like that they tackled kind of the racial bias of it, but I think that was a great angle to take. But I also think that there was a fascinating thing to be said for the idea that half the population came back and showing some semblance of like, listen, we can't approve everything because, like, you know, 4 billion people came back, 4.5 billion people.
And they're all
correct math, and they all need money. They are all penniless.
Yeah.
So the scale of the relief efforts and the amount of, and so I think that's a really interesting place to take it, on top of all of the more kind of like classically spy superhero kind of, like, you know, the idea of the Flag Smashers coming about and believing the world was better before the blip, before everybody came back, before you know, and then having you know, there's the husband and wife come up to, or I think maybe it's just the husband, but he comes up to Falcon when they're in, oh shoot, I forget where they were overseas. Anyway, when they're just kind of sitting and eating and he's repairing the drone, like thanks him for saving, like, despite being an Avenger, despite having saved the world. I really like this idea that, like, everybody's kind of down on their luck, you know, it's sort of just like everybody's kind of battered and bruised, and it feels
it's not a rosy comeback.
No, and it feels very human. I like that they haven't tried to paint like now that Tony Stark sacrificed himself, everything's good to go. You know, like it's an idyllic, everything's just the same as it was. Like people always want consequences. I love that they have had long lasting consequences from the end of Endgame. But sorry, you were gonna.
Now I think we got a good picture though of what Marvel is going for and what they're capable of, not in a movie context, but that like the opening scene with the dogfight and everything else was really sweet.
It was
the effects were awesome.
Yeah.
It was actually like the pacing was fantastic. It was super fun to watch. It felt like the classic Marvel movie comic book kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're looking ahead to. And that this episode did kind of set that tone of humanity, like just these are kind of regular guys in a lot of ways, and they got their problems, but now it's going to be like, let's go. We got to save the world again.
And I think, I really do like how they showed Falcon being competent in his own right as well.
Yeah.
Using the wings to like block bullets and smack people around. And I just think that they really, they showcased how these people are exceptional.
Yeah.
But they also showed how they're flawed, and not even flawed as so much as just like prone to the same circumstances as anyone else in the same position, right? Like no matter where you are, no matter who you are to the universe, and you can be an Avenger and someone can be a little low-key racist to you and deny you a bank loan. Like it's a very nuanced concept to tackle. And I really like that we have 6 episodes of this, and it's going to be lengthier episodes than WandaVision. So I like that, but it's going to be cool to see how focused it gets and where exactly everything ties together. Like, for example, Batroc, I mean, he was in Winter Soldier. He was hired by Nick Fury to hijack that ship. There was a whole subplot with that was staged, right? Like it wasn't just a random attack. And so I feel like in a similar way, they're going to start they're going to bring these threads back around, and and of course we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Someone's wearing old dad's skin. I don't know what's the phrase. Replacement goldfish.
Replacement goldfish.
We sent.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
We sent one cat to the farm. He went up. He went up to
the.
He went up to Aunt and Uncle's farm, and now we got a new one.
What happened to Captain America, man?
I don't like him.
This is the Dollarama version. Yeah. For those of you in the United States, the Dollar General version.
The Dollar General version. Yeah.
The ill-fitting Captain America suit. Is this guy juiced on soldier serum or not?
Yeah. Hi. Wish customer support. I ordered a Captain America, and it came in the mail.
It fits like a bike helmet from Walmart, man. Like the chin strap doesn't fit. It's like you can just see him in the back room before they make an appearance on the White House steps. They're like, "Was this thing on?" And they're like, "I feel like it's too tight, man. Like, can you just like, no. If it's tight, it's just right. Like, it should be a little uncomfortable."
Yeah, he's got to do the thumb test, right? He's got to.
Yeah, no, he comes out looking like so. This is the end of the episode.
Like the very end, smash cut to credits.
United States government introduces the new poster boy for defense and freedom, and it's Captain America Light. And we're looking at it, we're like, come on, seriously? So clearly, side by side, you put Captain America and Captain America Light, and there is clearly something missing. So
I will say,
is he worthy to pick up the hammer? Not even close.
I will say I do like the chest with the bands across it, that kind of like the red and blue stripes. I think it's a nice looking suit. And I think it's supposed to evoke that feeling of just like, oh, this is wrong. Sure. Like he's got a
dude's got to do some reps.
He's got to, but
he needs some.
Yeah. And I have a feeling.
Fill out.
I have a feeling that we're going to get sort of a vibe from him. He's going to be very much like a soldier boy. Like he's going to follow orders unquestioningly. And I feel like, I mean, in the trailers, we've seen Sam with the shield in tons of scenes that we haven't seen yet. So I don't think he'll have it for long, but I feel like when he does have the shield, he's not gonna care. Like he's gonna drop the shield at some point and just like shoot a guy to death. Like that's like I have a feeling like his opening scene, he'll bust in and like, yeah, Cap, and then he's just gonna chuck it and be like, well, screw this, and he's just gonna start wasting people.
He's not gonna measure up some way.
It's gonna be sacrilegious. His name, so we know his name from casting like news. He's kind of on the like they officially announced their cast list. He's played by Wyatt Russell, who's Kurt Russell's son. He's been in a few things. He's been in a few really good things. He's a good actor.
Snake Jr.
Yeah. Have you seen Overlord? I don't know if you watched. This is it's like basically Nazi zombies. But he was one of the main guys in that, and he was excellent. But he is playing John Walker. Is the guy's name, and in the comics, John Walker is a government appointed rah America ripoff of Cap, who is very kind of dogmatic and kind of blindly loyal. He's definitely a villain sometimes. I can't remember. I remember seeing some stuff that indicated maybe he sometimes is on the side of more good, like he sort of flip-flops, but I have the feeling he's our true villain. What do you think?
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that they, maybe they just need a poster boy to make people feel secure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he's just not going to be what is actually going to be needed for whatever evil surfaces. Yeah. And Falcon's got to step in, goes and gets the shield and takes the role on himself, whether it's an official capacity or not. But there's no doubt that this chump isn't going to measure up in some way.
Yeah, so. He's gonna screw up.
Here's a question as we bring this segment in for a landing, because we're pushing our 20-minute mark here.
Yeah, I don't have a timer for this bit.
So we saw War Machine was in this episode as a kind of face-to-face chat.
Yeah.
What other past cast are we going to see in this series? Are we going to see what level? Because obviously Don Cheadle, love you, but not at the level of Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. So what level are we going to see of cameos in the next 5 episodes? Are we going to see anybody? I predict I'm going to say that Nick Fury shows up, but that maybe is kind of an obvious call.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that we get old Cap. Like we will see, like towards the end, we'll just see kind of a, he'll show up and give a little burst of affirmation. At the same time, I do feel like they're aware that they kind of gave a send off to that character. Yeah. And they might not just immediately bring him back, and that might be too soon. It'd be interesting to see if we got I think it's a long shot, but like Hawkeye is also another mundane hero, and he's a spy, he was in, like, so maybe they take refuge at his farmhouse again.
Right. Yeah, that's a good call.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something that is interesting as far as like new characters. Joaquin Torres, I think, was the name of the younger guy that was following Sam around and kind of helping him out. He was at the protest, or not the protest, but he was at the
forces agent.
He is a newer comics character, and when Sam becomes Captain America in the comics, apparently he's a mutant, and he gets like actual wings from his arms, and he becomes the successor Falcon.
Archangel?
Not quite Archangel. They're like wings that come from like his forearms. Like they look kind of like how
Chicken
Sam
Man.
Somewhat, yeah. But he becomes like a new version of Falcon when Sam moves on from that moniker. The other thing before we wrap up, I do want to mention is in the credits we have a number of graffiti kind of things, and there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. There's a lot of possibilities, things. Two of the big ones.
I didn't get a chance to go back.
There was some graffiti that you can partially see text that says Power Broker is watching, And this is a new character to me. I didn't know this, but the Power Broker is a very powerful kind of behind the scenes criminal element in some of the comics. I probably should have looked more into it before because I forgot that was a thing, and then I forgot to look into it. But he's apparently a significant comics character that intersects a lot of different villainous, kind of lines. And he very well could be. They could be introducing some kind of. I think there's a chance that John Walker got his powers, assuming he is juiced up like Cap was, that he got his powers from the same place the Flag Smashers have, and that it's sort of a manufactured. We need a reason to have this new Cap kind of trapeze about. So let's come up with a crony, like a fall guy. But and the other one was, and now I'm blanking on exactly what indicated it. But there is a character in the comics named Carl Bradley. Isaiah Bradley is the younger one. Anyway, there is something Bradley is a black Captain America who was experimented on with the super soldier serum in the 40s before Cap received it. And he operated kind of as a Cap for a time, and then he like mentally deteriorated. And his grandson, Isaiah Bradley, is a young Avenger. And we've seen a lot of young Avenger type stuff cropping up. Basically, people are theorizing there's someone on the cast that they think might be this Bradley character from the 40s and might come back around, which would be an interesting counterpart. So
and that's Marvel, right? They're just looping stuff together. Right. So that's gonna be fun. It'll be fun to watch that.
I'm very excited. We got another episode on. For me, it's Thursday night. For most people, it's because I watch at 1 a.m. So I guess it is technically Friday morning, but no one.
Yeah, it was fun to simul watch it with you because usually we're not able to watch at the same time.
Separately, but I held off and we linked up the Disney Plus.
That was fun. Yeah, but so this week,
it'll be separate.
Watch separate, but we'll still be commenting.
Yeah,
Friday night we should be dropping episode 2 of the podcast.
Hopefully.
Right?
Fingers crossed.
Get the show shot Friday afternoon and then edit it up.
Send her off.
Okay. So all right. Well then, what's our second? We got news from the week.
We got news. That's the name. That's
besides Marvel, I'm sure there's lots of other nerdy things going on, but I only picked up on kind of one thing that caught my eye this week.
Go for it.
And it was launched last week, and that was the Candlekeep Mysteries adventure module.
Yeah.
The new book, the source book for 5e. And the reason caught my eye.
Oh, why did this catch your eye?
Well, because Brad.
I said at the top of the show.
The reason it caught my eye is because that was where I got my D&D start, was the Forgotten Realms, and Candlekeep was actually, I watched Candlekeep be born. Oh. When we got the Forgotten Realms source material, the map kind of ended. Right. And I was mostly like in the Shadowdale, the Dale Lands kind of area, and everything south was like mystery. But this Candlekeep, the city with the giant library with all the realm lore written down in books that existed, and there was not much said about it, but it sort of evolved over the years. So when I saw Candlekeep Mysteries, like, oh, interesting, we've got some Forgotten Realms stuff. And so it's 17 different adventures, and they're all based on, if you were an adventurer or an adventuring party and you went to seek knowledge at the library in Candlekeep, you pull open a book and it's an adventure hook. And so they've got 17 adventures. They're from levels 1 to 16, and you can kind of do them as one shots or integrate them as part of a campaign. So got to get a copy of that. I think that's going to be fun to read. Yeah. And I think Brad, Josh,
Brad,
I think we're going to give one of those away next week. So
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, get the notifications so you have a shot at getting a copy of that book. What did you notice? What was up this week?
So there's a couple things. This is a bit of a slow news week, but I did notice, I've been kind of keeping an eye on it for a while, but Super Nintendo World opened in Japan, which was the Nintendo theme park. And man, would I ever love to go outside, but also to the Super Nintendo World theme park. It sounds like effectively you jump into Mario World. They got like swamps and stuff. Like they do the perspective tricks when you go into a theme park where it looks, way more vast than it's. Those kind of perspective tricks fascinate me. Just the construction.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you'll see like shells bouncing back and forth in thwomps and
that's awesome.
Stacks of Goombas wandering around. And it's got this whole digital bit to it, sounded like, where you put on like a face shield or like glasses, and even like an app, and it's got like augmented reality.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's like a Mario Kart ride. Oh, it sounded great. And it's like,
yeah, that sounds
one of those things that if I ever have the money to travel, that would like probably be. I would go there before I would go to Disneyland.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a lot of fun. They need some giant foam thwomps, and as dad comes in the gates, his kids watch him get thwomped.
Yeah, it just gets crushed. That would be very, very funny. I would love it if on the Mario Kart ride you actually can chuck things at people.
That'd be great.
Well, because it'd be like, okay, you mix a roller coaster and you mix bumper cars, right?
Sure.
So it's just like you're all going simultaneously down the same linear track. But if you're doing it in AR, I guess, and actually, I could probably look it up and determine if it's legit. But that would be great if you can digitally throw a shell at the other car and it would detect it, because it's all just sensors and whatever. Anyway,
I'm sure they've got some pretty sweet stuff.
It sounds great. So I'm gonna watch videos jealously of that for a while. I also had I was looking. I'm not a huge fan of Godzilla. I'm not a fan, but I haven't really watched much. But I did enjoy Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla versus Kong is coming out at the end of the month. I saw some early Twitter reactions, and it sounds like it's quite good, which is encouraging.
I like the trailer, man. I love Kong Skull Island. I have no love for Godzilla, so I hope Kong rips his jaw off.
I really don't see how he can win, is the thing. It's like, who would win, this cockroach or God? It's just like,
it's like the Superman of the monster world.
Yeah. It's a slow news week. I thought for sure I had 2 or 3 things that I was like, I'm going to talk about that. And they have Fun in the Coop. They weren't in my browser history. I had a dream done.
I don't want to bring it up, but there was one kind of big thing that happened.
Oh.
Zack Snyder's
yeah. Well, so there was. So my good buddy Zack.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I can't. I mean, we have to be loyal to our fans.
There was this guy. And you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe when I edit this, I should crop us to 4:3, and I'll have a little bit. I'll have a little bit at the front, and it will say this podcast was edited in 4:3 to reflect not released for IMAX. So Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, and I wasn't going to bring it up because you tried. I heard of your efforts.
I really did,
and I heard how Jonathan, my brother, your son, how he was engaged somewhat. He was enjoying it.
He liked it, Josh.
And you were not. You were playing the Savage. You were playing video game. You were, but Zack Snyder's Justice League, a 4-hour epic. The recut of 2017's Justice League, which I saw in theaters, and it was aggressively mediocre. And I on the one hand, it was way too long, which you watched half, right? I watched it all in one go, which I wasn't expecting.
I watched half with like one eye.
With one eye, yeah. So you caught, you're like, oh, Mother Box, oh, Batman. But it's
the only time I paid attention was when Batfleck was talking. Like, oh,
he's the only actor you recognize. Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. The first half doesn't have any of the.
I got a man crush on Jason Momoa. I got no issues there, but the Aquaman thing just doesn't.
There's only so many slow-mo long walks off.
Like, I'll watch Jason Momoa's Carhartt commercial like over and over.
Yeah.
But not Aquaman.
Well, when you when you doze off, that's when the commercials start. That's it's you miss the good part.
If it was a similar cut and it was Marvel MCU and it was like they were just pulling clippings off the cutting room floor and putting together, like, I'm all there.
Yeah.
But I have a built-in genetic bias against DC.
You'd enjoy, like, if they had a 4-hour version of Endgame.
100%.
Right? With an hour of extra footage.
Blu-ray? Are you kidding? That'd be fantastic. Yeah. I'd even listen to the director's talk.
I'd be curious to see what kind of commentary this one.
I maintain my position. Yeah. Marvel needs to pay DC what they're worth, take the whole franchise from them, strip Batman out of it, baptize him into the MCU, and dump the rest. See,
I
said it.
So here, this is, you clearly are not a true cinema fan. You clearly are not educated enough to understand what Mr. Snyder was doing.
I don't think Mr. Snyder.
So let me. He's
when Jason Momoa is walking slow mo down a pier in the storm.
Listen, if someone handed me 70 million, you're like, you know that movie that came out and everyone like crapped all over it because it was bad, but it wasn't even your movie. Here's 70 million to give every single piece of footage you filmed.
Yeah.
But like, if like, okay, yeah, it's over long, but like, I don't know that I would like do much different because like they gave him that money to make every minute of that 4 hours a
painful
thing. Yeah. So it was too slow. And I would argue that there's an easy, I'm sure someone will fan edit a 3-hour version that cuts out some of the slow-mo and some of the scenes of people singing on the shores. And
there's a half hour if you total all the
spoilers for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Sorry, we didn't give the run. If they kept driving again after, like, okay, the Falcon and Winter Soldier spoilers are done, and then like the 5-minute news segment, and they've just like crashed whole heart. Yeah,
I got no respect.
Anyway,
I'll spoil it for you.
But also, it's the same story as a movie that came out in 2017 that no one liked. So I don't know if it's super revolutionary.
Hey, Zack got 70 million.
I thought it was great. I thought it was. I was surprised that I enjoyed it. I think it was overlong. I think that it was definitely like a lot of slow mo and kind of not. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. You know, like I wouldn't. I enjoyed Endgame and Infinity War more. You know, there's movies I enjoyed more, but I really liked every character coming out of it, and the action. Like there was. I felt it was worth it. I finished watching and I was just kind of shaking my head. And I was like, well, I enjoyed that. Like I can't deny it. You missed a number of scenes. You're not going to go back and finish it. Right. I think Jonathan is, because I gave my
no hope.
Yeah. No hope. Yeah. You can say hell. We won't get demonetized.
Hell.
Yeah. We're not going to, if it's in the first 3 minutes, I think you get demonetized, but you missed a bunch of fight scenes with Steppenwolf, with the big lieutenant guy. And then, the best part, this is the part that I think is the standout. At the end, the villains win, and those mother boxes come together and they explode and the world gets destroyed. And the Flash sees it happen and it's frozen, and he breaks his rule and he runs fast enough to back time up. He reverses the entire final sequence. It's so good.
Come on. Cool. Okay. So first of all, whatever. Like, just let it die, Flash. Second of all, it's not even original. Superman did that back in the 80s when he flew around the planet 7 times to resurrect Lois Lane. And it was done with 1980s special effects.
The special effects in this are distinctly better.
They're not, though.
You got to watch the sequence. It's quite... You gotta
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
the Flash sequence was pretty.
Everything to do with the Flash, and like because he's running backwards and the lightning will strike bits, and then you'll see the building reconstitute. Like it gets trippy, but
that's pretty cool.
and they foreshadow it a bit. Like he goes fast enough in one of the prior sequences that like everything reverses a little bit, and then like he goes full throttle at the end, which is fun because that doesn't happen at all in the original theatrical cut. He gets a lame side story where he's saving a family of people in a truck and he pushes the truck out of the way. Like they really underdo the character. And because the ending 20 minutes of this movie is Bruce Wayne has a dream about the apocalypse where everybody's edgy and Superman turned evil and the villain won, and it's like an apocalyptic hellscape and they're working with the Joker. It's all new footage that they filmed, and it's supposed to kind of try and tease sequels that probably aren't going to happen. But because they put a bunch of that stuff in the trailers, when this thing explodes and the villains win, I was like, that's the end of the movie. Like this movie ends with them losing, and then they would have had like a second one, right? Like same as Infinity War. They would have had a hypothetical sequel to reverse it or whatever. So it was crazy because I was like, they're actually doing it. Like they're actually killing off all their heroes, and we're never get a sequel. Like Zack Snyder's Justice League ends with all of the heroes, including Superman, dying. And then Flash is just stood there watching the world like blow up in slow motion. And then as he starts to move, it starts to rewind as he runs towards the center. I was excited. Like, I was just like, it was exciting. And I was just like shaking my head because it's weird to see the same footage that was just like, wow, this sure is a superhero movie in 2017, recontextualized and made way stronger. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But with that said,
he got 70 million, and then he found 70 million.
Yeah. So like, it's absolutely not everyone's cup of tea, as your testimony. Like, it's not an argument against your opinion, because who would stick around for 2 hours worth of film for very little to happen in the second half, right? But for all that, it's better than the original one.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I guess.
So,
our final question.
Yes.
Tabletop question.
Tabletop question. Our new segment.
Is that well?
Tabletop question.
What's your let's do both. We've got to do it in 2 minutes each. What's your favorite?
2 minutes each. What are we at? What is our time at? I didn't time the
We are at almost 50 minutes.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's try and go a little quicker. This bit, I would love more discussion.
And least favorite.
This is tough. My favorite is probably Bard. I love Bards. Brad? I love the fact that's part of the reason that Brad is on your screen. There's a whole story there, but I love Bards. I love the idea of being kind of, persuasive and a little deceptive and playing instruments and casting magic and being a little mysterious. And like, there's just a lot of range. You can play a goofy Bard. You can play a more dramatic Bard. And I love storytelling. So, it kind of, it lines up. As a DM, I love Bards. And then you want to do your favorite, or do you want to do the least?
Yeah, sure. I'll do my favorite. Yeah. Bards is a solid choice. I like what they've done with Bards in 5e. Bards were a little bit weird and a little lame, kind of when I started playing in 2nd E, but they're pretty cool. Yeah, it's good. Good choice. My favorite, and maybe it just gives away some of the stuff that I like myself, but it's the Ranger.
The Ranger.
I like the guy who can, read tracks across pavement. I like the guy who hides in shadows, long range sniper kind of style. Yeah, the whole stealth fighter combo, protector of the borderlands, all that kind of stuff. Totally. That's been my guy. And I very rarely have I played with any of the magic side of Rangers. I kind of don't dig that part. If I wanted that, I'd go Druid, but but the full on Ranger, protector of the natural, and I'd go with Ranger.
That's fair. I think Rangers are great. I love the theming, but I agree. The magic part of it has always felt incongruous to me. I always feel like if I'm playing a Ranger, I don't want to have the ability to cast spells. I'm kind of what I'm looking for is to play a flavor of fighter, really mechanically. But it also doesn't help that Rangers in 5th edition, as opposed to 2nd, are a lot worse. They're better now with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything kind of overhauled some things, kind of patched the class, but they're still not great. And that's tough. That's tough because, you know, there's so many things you want to do with a ranger. You can do better with a different class.
Yeah, so, and that's when you know it's a little bit broken, right?
Yeah, and basically, if someone's gonna come to me and say play ranger, or if I want to play ranger, I will take a fighter subclass and flavor it.
Sure.
And I'll play aesthetically a ranger, but within the context of the game. With that said, ranger is not my least favorite class in 5e, and I'm looking at the list, and I don't hate any of them. If you're worried about hate, if you're worried about me trashing a class, I don't hate any class, but I think my least favorite is probably the sorcerer. I haven't played a sorcerer, but I always forget that it's an option. And it just feels like
forgettable class.
And it just feels like I'm sure, as soon as I play a sorcerer, this will change. It'll just change classes until I've played all of them and I can't decide. But sorcerer just feels like, you know, if I want to play a certain type of spellcaster, I'll do bard. Or if I want to be like a wizard, I'll be a wizard. And it kind of feels like a middle ground that I just wouldn't. I don't know. It's just the idea of getting your powers innately is interesting, but I feel a less backstory you can do. I don't know. I just feel like sorcerers are just kind of, I always forget they're there and I default to other options. So maybe it's biased, but I just looked up a list and I was like, am I missing any? And I was like, I was going to choose rogue, and then I was like, oh yeah, sorcerers.
They can be the object of my derision.
I can.
Well, I'm gonna go with you on that one, but I'm gonna back it up about 30 years. Okay. Second edition, the magic user.
Just the magic user.
That's all they were called. They weren't even called wizards at that point. They were just magic users or mages. You might call them mages.
Did you have clerics? Did you have anything that could cast spells besides them, or was it just
there was users? Clerics. There was even a paladin, you know, who would have sort of your basic some of your basic healing spells and stuff. But the magic user was your wizard. That's kind of what they evolved into. But I guess part of the reason I would have liked them is because at the upper levels, like 6th level and higher, they were just unbelievably powerful.
Right.
But you had to get them there.
Yeah. And it was
they literally started with 4 hit points. If you had a constitution that didn't give you any bonuses, you had 4 hit points. If your DM allowed you your maximum first hit dice. If you had to roll it, you potentially had 1 hit point.
D4 hit dice?
D4 hit dice was a magic user.
That's
no joke.
Just to win. That's there'll be times where I'll play and
fall off your donkey.
I'll do that in the game sometimes for fun flavor. You know, you'll be like, okay, you know, they punch you in the arm and you take 1 point of damage because it's the barbarian. You know, for a joke. That's 25% of their. You can't mess around with numbers like that, man.
Exactly. And if he did 2 points of damage, you would have had to roll a system shock check to see if you didn't have to roll a death save.
Oh my gosh. Well, we do have
death. Did I lose anybody?
No, we have death saves in 5th edition.
Okay. So anyway, I would go with magic user, even though I love the power at higher levels. It was just a matter of keeping them alive that long.
Fair. Yeah. Part of me is like, maybe this is too off the cuff. Maybe sorcerer. Maybe I'm like, now I'm gonna look at sorcerer and I'll be like kicking myself because I'm like, this is way more.
This is my favorite.
Anyway, but I can't. If that's not the case, then I can't really pick one. You know, it's like I love them all. Warlocks, they only have 2 spell slots. I don't know, There's so many spellcasters now, but anyway, that's a good baseline. But we'll be doing more, tabletop gaming, D&D related.
Yeah,
I think next week. Do we want to talk about, because that was for what we're going to talk about for this segment, just as a teaser.
Yeah. So we'll obviously do a recap of whatever happened in the MCU. And then we'll do a little news roundup and fun things that we've heard around the web and such. And 2 things. We're gonna give a little sampling of how primitive the video game conditions were in the early 90s with the gold box games.
Yeah.
And the Gateway to the Savage Frontier.
That's the one. Yeah.
Let's do some reaction videos as we both play through the first couple minutes.
I'll try. I don't know if I have the hardware or the software for that, but I'll look into it. And
you can play it in a browser window now, and it's actually pretty easy. But so yeah, we'll tease out a little bit, and then we're gonna have a giveaway. We're gonna give some fun prizes away, and it'll be a like and share to win kind of thing. But definitely going to give away one copy of the Candlekeep Mysteries adventures, and a couple other things. But we'll save those for Friday.
So if you enjoyed this podcast, if you want a copy of Candlekeep Mysteries, if you want to hear about Gateway to the Savage Frontier, or if you are just a friend and you want to support us, like and subscribe on YouTube. Share the video if you'd be kind enough. We are on no other social media platforms at the moment, but if
at this point it's only YouTube.
If we are, the links will be in around this space probably by this point.
Comments, show notes.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Description.
Yeah. So
you know what would be good?
Yeah.
I'd like to know from people how long they'd like to see this, because we could go, an hour easy, but maybe what's the optimal length for you guys? Like, what would you like to hear? What's too long? Was today too long? Do you like the sound of our liquid tones coming through your earphones? You could listen to us forever. So let us know. I think that'd be helpful information.
All I know is I'm not a good source for that, because I listen to Critical Role on a regular basis. So I'll be like 4 hours, right?
And they go,
4 hours.
And I'm a Joe Rogan fan. And Joe Rogan fan, and he usually goes 3.5. So
so
we're not the right guys to ask.
Rein us in. But
that's right.
That's the show. That's the show, isn't it?
Fun, buddy.
And we will catch you guys all next week. Don't die.
Peace. See y'all.